Hey, this is Hans Struzyna with the East Bay Home Company coming to you live from Park Street. We're about to do our first interview with Otto Wright at the Local. He's the new owner and operator, and we want to come in and see what this place is all about. So come on and let's check it out. All right, so Otto, thank you so much for having us here to the Local. We're really honored to have you sit down with us and share your story and share a little bit about the business. So why don't you tell me kind of first and foremost, what is the Local?
The Local is a coffee house based here in downtown Alameda that caters to the locals. And what we specialize in is good coffee, fairly simple but good food. And we just want to make sure that it's a hospitable, quality environment, clean environment where people can come and hang out and have gatherings of different varieties.
Absolutely. So obviously we all know that Park Street is kind of the center of the business world as far as Alameda is concerned, and especially on the restaurant front. So what made you choose this location and specifically Park Street?
Well, that's a funny question. Actually, this location kind of picked me, believe it or not. So it was, I found the business through Craigslist, of all strange coincidences, but it was the kind of business I was looking for. I live a few blocks in one direction. I have an older son who goes to high school right down the street. I belong to the Masonic Lodge right next door, so I know this location, I know this area, and I know all the people around here quite well. So it was a kind of a strange coincidence that I happened to find that this business was for sale one day on Craigslist, of all things.
Wow.
So the business, I feel like this kind of found me more than I found it, but it's been exciting to be here. Actually, it's only been 2 months already, and we've had a great support from all the local people in this particular neighborhood. But we have people also coming from Berkeley and elsewhere who all just want to come hang out on Park Street and have kind of found this to be a convenient place to meet and also to work. We have a lot of people who come with their laptop and they'll spend a few hours getting work done over here. Yeah,
because you look around and there's enough intimacy here, but there's also, you could host a pretty good size group. And as we were talking about before, the acoustics in this place are amazing, right? Tell me about that story you were saying.
They are. Actually, it's very interesting. A guy came in here who's been a singer with some large musical groups and came in and started singing in here and playing guitar, and we all went, wow, it's like a theater in here. It's fantastic.
Awesome, awesome. So one thing that I'm so curious about, and I'm sure a lot of people are as well, Park Street's sort of caught in this sort of time capsule, if you will, where it seems like a lot of these facades of the buildings are the same ones that were original, right?
Correct.
So what is there a history on this building? Is there something unique about the space?
There is, and in fact, this building was one of the early buildings on Park Street. Actually, this building was built in 1891, and this was the first Masonic Hall. Next door was the second Masonic Hall. But this building here, this space has always been retail since 1891. There were lodge rooms upstairs, so there were 2 lodge rooms upstairs. And it was huge. It was swinging. And then in the 1920s, the Masons decided to build a second building. They were that popular, so they built a second Masonic Lodge next door. But this has always been a retail space or a cafe space. It's never been a bar or anything like that. Many of the coffee houses that have been in here have had a beer and wine license, and it's changed kind of in orientation a number of times. But it's a great space. It's got great big windows, great light, and as you can see from the outside of the building, it's definitely a unique characteristic here. But a lot of the buildings, in fact, there's a building down the street that was one of the original stables. Like, this was an old Wild West street for some time. There was a big hotel across the street and a bar across the street from that. So it's got a lot of history. It's a neat spot. Yeah, that's amazing. So it's definitely gone through some iterations. And you said you found the business on Craigslist, right? Yeah. So tell me about that changing hands process. And you mentioned earlier that it was a business, the kind of business you were looking for. So what does that mean to you? Well, I was looking for a business here in Alameda that would be locally oriented. I wanted to find something that was based in the community. It was something that was what I was looking for, is a business that was going to be a kind of not just necessarily a location, but was going to be the kind of business that was integral to what happened within the town. I looked at bars. I found a couple that were for sale that just weren't really the vibe that I was looking for. It wasn't the kind of business I wanted to be in. Okay. I looked at a couple other things that were interesting, but they also weren't the right fit. So when I found this, it was unusual, and this was really just a posting of business for sale in Alameda, and I thought, I should at least call and follow up. And the previous owner and I got talking, and it was a really good fit. He had probably 24 other people interested who came to look at the business and had different ideas. The landlord really didn't want to support some of the other ideas that people had for the space. A couple of people wanted to create nightclubs, and the landlord said, no way. A couple of people said, we want to develop high-end restaurants, and the landlord said, no, historical buildings, so we can't put in elaborate kitchens and banquets and that kind of stuff. So it really, what I wanted to do was something like what it had been, keep it as a coffee house and really keep it kind of a center of the community, something totally different position than a pizza or a Starbucks, something where people can come, where it's other locals, where we make really good coffee. It's not corporate stuff. It's, we don't do big sugary drinks. We do really good coffee like these. And check it out. We got a great barista here named Scott who does great cappuccinos and lattes. Cheers.
Cheers.
So it's a fun business.
Yeah, that is really good. Love it. It's good. Cool. So it was a coffee house before you came in. So then where do you feel like your personal touch came in, and where's Otto being represented in this space? Sure.
Well, instantly, in fact, one of the funny things that I had noticed about this space for the many years that I had come in here was the previous owner didn't put a lot of priority on changing light bulbs. To me, that was kind of an important one. So the first thing I did on the very first day when we moved in, before we were even open, was I changed all the light bulbs.
Yeah.
And it was funny because a couple of people walking by on the street looked in and said the same thing. Said, "Wow, you changed the light bulbs, right?" So I felt like at least that was my first contribution was lightening the place up. And then the next thing was painting and cleaning, and as you probably noticed, we have art on the walls. So what I wanted to do was provide a space where artists can show their work, where other local groups can actually take part and have get-togethers. And so far already we do that. And there's a group of gamers who meets here every Tuesday night. We've got 2 different writer groups who show up, and they I don't know exactly what they do all the time, but they review their works and they do things.
Cool.
We have a couple of other events that are coming up pretty soon. There are going to be a story slam in December. So we're doing things that are really heavily local focused, and a lot of those are based on relationships I have with other people here in the community. So. So this space winds up being kind of a hub of sorts for different kinds of activities for the community.
Right on. So so you've obviously been in the community for a while. You live here, your kids go to school here. You were looking for a business, and now you have a business here. Tell me about your roots here. Were you born on the island? Did you transplant like myself? Or
like many of us who've transplanted here, it means we're never going to really truly be an Alamedian, right? You'll never truly be a local, but we've lived here over 6 years.
Okay.
I was originally working at the Oakland airport, used to run a business over there. So I got to know Alameda very well through that, and kind of stumbled upon Alameda as a community to live in.
As many do.
As many do. And it's a great town, and what we've instantly found that it's a very caring community. It's a very involved community. So we've really enjoyed it, and it's nice. My wife and I frequently won't even get in the car for a week at a time, where we're on foot or on bicycle. Kids walk to school and everything, so it's pretty neat. So I enjoy it here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the exact same way as you. My girlfriend is a personal trainer here, and she bikes everywhere except for if it's raining. And then I have my office up at the other end of the island at Marina Village, and
perfect.
I mean, I could bike if I wanted to, but when I need to get off the island,
right. So you probably need a cup of coffee before you start that long ride to the other end of town.
Maybe 2. So now I know my pit stop here on the way over. Yeah, the other end of town, right?
The other end of town. Right.
Very cool. This was originally a coffee shop, correct?
Correct. This has been a coffee house for probably 30 plus years.
Okay, so you just wanted to continue that tradition. Obviously, we have a couple of the big guys up the road there. What do you feel like is a big misconception about a small coffee house versus a Starbucks or a Pete's or something where I can go and it's consistent across everywhere?
Well, I think we make much better coffee. The way that we actually put a lot of focus onto making each individual cup of coffee. We do a pour-over cup of coffee, which has become more popular these days. There's a number of, in fact, there's a few other larger chains who are starting to adopt this idea of doing pour-over. because you can really improve the quality. And it creates a different experience as you are able to talk to your customers when you make their cup of coffee for them individually, as opposed to turn around to an air pot and push a button and say, here's your coffee, give me your money and go.
Yeah.
And that's really what the coffee culture has turned into. And
Sure.
Peet's and Starbucks have done their own thing, and they've positioned themselves well. And I don't really want to compete with them necessarily for what they do, and their product is their thing.
Yeah.
And we have to be sensitive to some of that.
Of course.
But we've tried to make sure that, as we're doing coffee, the coffee is front and center. It's got to be done just right. It's got to be good. And so it's not a machine that makes it, it's a person that makes it. And you talk to that person while they're making your coffee, which is an extraordinary experience.
And I mean, to that comment, I mean, we hold this guy up, and this is like what I would consider maybe a normal cup of coffee. I will say that my normal cup of coffee in the morning is maybe a little bigger than that, but that's
well, when you do a drip cup of coffee, we all kind of tend to want or need, when you roll out of bed, something that's about like that.
A little bigger,
right?
yeah.
Right.
But I noticed the attention to the detail, and just even what you had going on top, just that swirl. I don't know what you call that, but the swirl design on
the
top,
foam
right?
art,
the foam art.
Yeah,
there you go.
Right.
But yeah, that personal touch. So it sounds like you're trying to create a space where you're inviting people to come in and have a little bit more of a personal interaction and maybe stay a while,
right,
as opposed to come, grab your coffee, drive through, and run out.
Correct. We don't have crowd control signs here, right? It's come in, find the counter, you order your coffee, and our coffee takes a couple of minutes to make each cup.
Yeah.
It's not ready in an air pot, and there's a reason for that, because it tastes better. But it's also, it's not a rushing kind of experience. And we are capable of turning out coffee fast if somebody needs that. But we've come to find out most people aren't in that bad of a rush, that they can usually afford one extra minute.
Yeah.
And it's worth it for a really good cup of coffee.
Yeah. So I noticed that we have this sitting out on the table. The local beans, are these your beans, or are these what's the deal with the pot here?
We get our coffee from Mr. Espresso, who's a local coffee roaster. They've been around for 50 plus years. Family lives here in Alameda. They roast over in Jack London Square. They have extraordinary quality. They have been famous for some time by providing coffee to all the local restaurants, and they were the ones who first started creating this idea of gourmet coffee to Chez Panisse, for example. They were that coffee. That's where Mr. Espresso came from.
Gotcha.
But they do very traditional style roasts, and one of the things that we have found is in the current industry is there's a big split kind of between the old school coffee and the new school coffee, and there's this whole new school, new fashion, very blonde, light roasted coffees. And there's there's Four Barrel Coffee, who does a lot of light roasted coffee. There's Blue Bottle, who's just sold to Nestle, who do these very light roasted coffees. And they're a different kind of drinking experience, and not everybody likes that kind of drinking experience.
Yeah.
And so what we have found is a very traditional style of coffee making. It doesn't have to be bitter if you do it right. So we do some dark roast, but we also have some lighter roasts as well, which I think have a little bit more flavor and aren't quite as bitter as some of the blonde roasts you might get from some of the other places. But we also find that here in Alameda, what the feedback that I've received is that this kind of traditional style coffee done well is what people like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have really looked at coffee as a product, and there's a product that you can do well. My background is running businesses. I know how to run businesses and manage people and get the most out of a business. Learning the product has been interesting for me, and this has actually been a lot of fun. And reviewing different coffee roasters and different techniques and how things work. And so we've settled upon this roaster, settled upon this technique. And these are things that we picked based on what I thought produced the best quality product.
So then is Mr. Coffee able to, you're able to say, hey, I want this flavor and that thing going on in my stand, and they can kind of custom create that for you, and that's what's in this jar?
They can. What's in this particular jar is a standard good old-fashioned French roast. It's dark roast coffee. Here, give it a sniff. This is a great coffee.
Oh, Oh, I love the
It's
color.
not the oh yeah, it's oily, it's juicy, and it's round. It's almost like butter in a cup. It's fantastic.
I mean, it looks buttery.
It does look buttery, doesn't it?
I love that.
It's like sparkly with oils.
There's something special about how shiny that is, and just that aroma that hits you right away.
Oh, absolutely. And a great French roast done right is a fantastic cup of coffee. But we have others as well. And so we have a Colombian Guatemalan blend that we use as our kind of our standard house roast. But we've also got it's a very nice organic fair trade Ethiopian coffee. It's a very lightly roasted, very very floral. It's actually got kind of a berry flower chocolate flavor going on. It, and it has more of a consistency like a tea. And then we also have a dark Colombian roast coffee, which is very subtle and smoky, and it's got great flavor, no bitterness, but a really excellent cup of coffee. So we have those 4 different varieties of main beans, and we may rotate some other things in and out as well.
Sure. Once you kind of figure out what's working and what people are liking and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And we're already, even in the second month, we're already responding to different things that other customers have asked us for. They've asked us for different kinds of roasts, and so we're working on some of those. This came out of customers asking for coffee to take away, like whole bean coffee to take with them. So we said, if that's what they want, let's make it. Let's figure it out, right? And we've done that also with, we have a very limited food menu, but we've begun to do some of that too. And we've kept some of the standard food, sandwiches and salad foods that the previous establishment had. But we started to add some things, like fun stuff. And actually we've got an avocado spinach smoothie of all things. And it's great. And so we all tried it, all the staff here, we took a sip and went, that's great. And so we've got that out. And some customers said, if you added a little cinnamon or wow. So we've kind of gone through that in the manufacturing process, so to speak. And it's been great. And people really like it. And we've done that. We do different kind of toast sandwiches with avocado and egg salad, for example. What a goofy thing. But actually, it's great. And people really enjoy it. So we're kind of trying to be responsive to what people are looking for at different times of the day.
So it's the menu and what I can get when I walk up to the front of the bar here is more or less a group effort through not only what you guys are doing, but what the community is suggesting and what people are responding to.
Absolutely.
That's
and if
amazing.
we can customize it, we will. So it's fun.
Cool. So for those people who are coming in and working on Friday, and many of your other patrons, I know you've only been in business for 2 months, but this location has been here for a long time and been serving the community in a lot of different ways over that time. What are some of the things you feel like might be challenging to communicate about the business and about the space as a whole to those people that maybe through traditional marketing or that it just may not come up?
Well, communicating what the value is of a coffee house is one of those hard things to get across. We're not Pizza Starbucks. We're something different than that. And it is about the quality of the product we produce, but it's also about the space and the service that we provide to our community. And we're working on getting a beer and wine license, and that'll augment our business a little bit. But and that might cause us to probably keep later hours, which a lot of people have asked us for.
Sure.
So our business model will adjust with the town and with the community. But how we get our word out, it's almost like we have to win each customer one cup of coffee at a time. So I'm trying to be a little bit more thoughtful about how we present ourselves and what kind of advertising we do. But I want people to know us as we are, as our name implies. We are the local, right? We're the local place, and we're not the place where you go if you're in a hurry. Right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. You live 6 blocks away. The kids go to school right around the corner.
Right, exactly.
It's about as local as you can get, right?
It's about as local as you can get.
That's amazing. Well, Otto, I want to thank you so much for sitting down and talking all that through. That's an amazing perspective, and I wish you all the success in the world with the business. And I'm definitely going to be coming in a lot more and sending some of my friends over here as well.
Sounds good. We'll be here for you. I have coffee for you.
Thanks, Otto.
I appreciate it.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching the video. Again, we're here at the Local on Park Street. We just interviewed Otto. This is the best of Alameda, so if you would go ahead and like the page and share the video with your friends and family, you will be automatically entered for a drawing in 1 week to win a hand-packed canister of coffee brought to you by the Local. So go ahead, like, share, and enjoy. Until next time, this is Hans with the East Bay Home Company signing off.